Hey folks, hope you all are doing well. I'm Karan Bandal from Econosite, and in this video, let's talk about Chinese companies and the risks they pose to national security of other nations. Here is some context. A few years back, Huawei started making the headlines for the wrong reasons in the Western world. Huawei is a Chinese business which has grown to become the world's largest telecommunications equipment maker. The equipment it makes is critical to how the internet functions. It occupies every step of the network chain between our laptops and phones through to the data centers hosting the content we want to access. The reason this company made the headlines was that Huawei was accused of conducting aggressive espionage activities on behalf of Beijing. Huawei employees have been caught conducting corporate espionage in the United States. In one incident, an employee was attempting to steal the intellectual property of T-Mobile's phone testing robot. So long story short, towards the end of 2022, the Biden administration banned approvals of new telecommunications equipment from China's Huawei Technologies, citing an unacceptable risk to the US national security. Now we ask, are Chinese battery companies the next Huawei? See, the Biden administration wants half of all new cars sold in the United States to be electric by 2030. Meanwhile, the European Union has been even more aggressive, mandating that all new cars and vans sold after 2035 emit zero emissions. Taken together, that's good news for China, because companies tied to the Chinese Communist Party or the CCP control nearly half of the global supply of electric vehicle batteries. Certainly, there is a need to decarbonize the transportation sector, but a hasty embrace of EVs would only cement the market positions of the Chinese battery giants. A rather worrying factor is that it could expose the United States and European nations to dangerous cyber threats like how Huawei's unchecked expansion did. Here's why. In developing the production of advanced batteries to power tomorrow's high-tech revolution, Chinese central planners have left the West well behind. China now dominates battery and EV supply chains, including critical rare earth minerals. Case in point, two Chinese industry giants, CATL and BYD, lead the global EV and battery markets. CATL produces 1 in 3 batteries, and BYD is on track to become the world's top EV seller. Both companies owe their ascent to massive Chinese subsidies as well as their corporate connections with powerful CCP institutions. Unlike in any democracy, these linkages between a company and the party are intricate, and they enable the CCP to exert direct and indirect control over each company's internal governance, operations, and hiring. This has serious implications for battery supply chains. Especially in the case of CATL, CCP may even get almost unfettered access to the company's proprietary technologies and strategic market data. This in turn may potentially provide other Chinese entities a competitive edge and undermine US and European companies' positions in the global markets. What's more, CATL and BYD are already setting their sights on controlling battery-adjacent industries. These include EV charging networks and battery energy storage systems for utilities to store power. Let's expand on battery energy storage systems, or BESS. Such systems harness and store energy from various sources when electricity generation exceeds demand. Then they release power via existing transmission lines during the shortage of electricity generation, or act as a backup during inevitable lulls in wind and solar power generation. But the catch is, these batteries must be connected to the nation's electrical grid. Currently, these systems are not subject to stringent review or oversight in either the United States or Europe. Owing to these gaps in transparency, there isn't a full accounting of ongoing and planned Chinese BESS projects in the United States. However, several have broken ground in Florida, Virginia, Texas, and Nevada. Alarmingly, CATL batteries were reportedly installed on the US Marine Corps base at Camp Lejeune. This base has a Taiwan connection, by the way. CATL has similar projects already underway in Britain, Hungary, and elsewhere. Now, the scary part. Research from the British risk management firm Aon reveals that cybersecurity deficiencies associated with BESS control systems could allow malign actors to trigger wide-scale electrical grid blackouts. Keep in mind, some of the Chinese batteries are already connected to the US grid. Chinese-built EV charging networks are hardly any safer. Through these, malicious actors can remotely install malware onto EVs during charging, enabling surreptitious monitoring and disabling of the vehicles. The danger isn't solely digital though. Several Chinese laws, including the 2017 National Security Law and the recently revised Counter-Espionage Law, grant Beijing the authority to compel Chinese companies to assist in spying or sabotage. This may involve forcing them to share schematics of critical infrastructure acquired through their partnership with US or European power companies. So before these companies consolidate near monopolies throughout US or European markets, policymakers in these countries need to act. This assessment sheds a positive light though on India's key policy decisions from mid-2023. BYD was planning to set up an electric vehicle factory in India, partnering with a local company. BYD was going to invest $1 billion and had an ambitious plan to capture 40% of the domestic EV market. However, Indian government blocked BYD's bid, citing national security concerns. China-based Great Wall Motor, which also planned to invest $1 billion in India, failed to buy a General Motors plant as the Indian government refused clearances. Approvals were stalled for another company, MG Motor India, a unit of Chinese car maker SAIC Motor, over financial irregularities. In summary, Chinese companies and the Chinese state sometimes appear to be one and the same. Western nations are waking up to the risks these companies pose to their national security. And India seems to be addressing this issue by implementing protectionist measures against certain Chinese companies. I hope you found this analysis interesting. I'll speak with you again next week. Until then, take care.